Before there were pharmacies, there were grandmothers. Before there were prescriptions, there were gardens. Before modern medicine decided which plants you were allowed to know about, ordinary women in ordinary kitchens were healing fevers, infections, joint pain, and failing lungs with things growing at the edge of their property. That knowledge did not vanish. It was not disproven. It was not replaced by something better. It was simply left behind, quietly, generation by generation, until the people who carried it were gone, and the plants that held it were still growing in the ground, waiting for someone to remember what they were for. Today, on Seed Time Botanics, we are going to remember. These are 20 forgotten healing plants your grandmother knew. Plants that have centuries of documented use, that are backed by ethnobotanical research, and that your doctor has almost certainly never mentioned in a single appointment. Stay with us until the end, because plant number 14 is the one that changes everything. And if you have already written it off as a common weed, you're going to want to hear this. Before we get into plant number 1, do us one favor. Hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell right now. Every single week on this channel, we bring back the botanical knowledge that time and the pharmaceutical industry have quietly buried. This is a community for people who want to know what grows in the ground and what it can do for the body. If that is you, you belong here. Subscribe. Then let's get into it. Your great-grandmother had a garden that served a function your garden probably does not. It was not decorative. It was not a hobby. It was a medicine cabinet. Every plant in it had a purpose that she could name, a preparation method she had been taught, and a condition it addressed that she had seen it address with her own eyes. That knowledge was passed to her by her mother, who received it from hers, in an unbroken chain of botanical literacy that stretched back further than any of us can trace. That chain broke in the 20th century, not because the plants stopped working, because a new system arrived that had an economic interest in replacing that chain with a different one that ran through doctors and prescriptions and patented compounds rather than through gardens and grandmothers and knowledge that belonged to nobody and therefore could be given to anyone. We are not here to tell you to abandon modern medicine. We are here to tell you that what was left behind when modern medicine arrived is worth recovering. Because your body does not know the difference between a compound derived from a plant in a pharmaceutical laboratory and the plant that compound was derived from. But your wallet does, and so does your access. These 20 plants are available, growable, and documented. Every use we describe today has ethnobotanical precedent. Some of them have clinical studies to accompany that precedent. All of them were known by the women who came before us. Let us bring them back. Plant 1, yarrow, Achillea millefolium. Yarrow is one of the oldest documented medicinal plants on Earth. Archaeological evidence places it in use over 60,000 years ago. Your grandmother likely called it woundwort or nosebleed plant, and both names are accurate. Yarrow is a powerful hemostatic, meaning it stops bleeding. Applied directly to a wound as a poultice of crushed fresh leaves, it contracts blood vessels and promotes clotting in a way that would impress any emergency room physician. It is also a proven fever herb. A hot yarrow tea taken at the onset of a fever encourages perspiration that brings the temperature down naturally. It grows in almost every climate, requires almost no care, and has been pushing through the cracks of neglected gardens for thousands of years, waiting to be used. Plant 2, mullein, Verbascum thapsus. If your grandmother had a respiratory illness in the house, she reached for mullein before she reached for anything else. The large, soft, velvety leaves of this plant, which grows as a roadside weed across North America and Europe, have been used as a lung herb for centuries. Dried mullein leaf tea was the standard treatment for bronchitis, persistent coughs, and chest congestion in folk medicine traditions on multiple continents simultaneously. The saponins in the leaf act as an expectorant, loosening mucus and allowing the lungs to clear themselves. If you have ever had a cough that a doctor could do nothing for, and you walked past a 6-foot mullein stalk on a roadside and ignored it, you walked past your remedy. Plant 3, calendula, Calendula officinalis. Calendula is the plant that skin reaches for when it has been damaged. Burns, rashes, eczema, slow-healing wounds, cracked, dry skin in winter. Calendula has been the botanical answer to all of these for so long that its use predates every modern dermatological product by at least 2,000 years. The orange and yellow flowers of this plant, infused in oil, produce one of the most effective topical anti-inflammatory agents available anywhere at any price. Calendula contains triterpenoids and flavonoids that reduce inflammation and stimulate tissue repair simultaneously. It is non-toxic, grows easily in any garden, blooms continuously from spring through frost, and your grandmother almost certainly had it. The question is whether you do. Plant 4. Elder, Sambucus nigra. The elder tree has been called the medicine chest of country people for good reason. The flowers, the berries, the bark, and the leaves each serve a distinct medicinal function. Elderberries are now well enough known in the wellness community that they appear in mainstream stores. But your grandmother would have used the whole plant. Elderflower tea for fever and catarrh. Elderberry syrup for immune support and viral illness. Elder leaf poultice for bruising and minor inflammation. The tree itself is a complete pharmacy. Clinical research published in peer-reviewed journals has confirmed what folk medicine has said for centuries. Elderberry extract significantly reduces the duration and severity of influenza. The pharmaceutical industry does not sell you a patent on elders, which may explain why your doctor has never suggested it. Plant 5. Plantain, Platigo major. Not the banana. The low-growing weed that is almost certainly in your lawn right now, that you have probably stepped over or mowed down without a second thought. Plantain, the broad-leaved variety that grows in disturbed soil and compacted ground everywhere in the temperate world, is one of the most versatile first-aid plants that exists. Chewed or crushed and applied to an insect sting or bite, it draws out the toxin and reduces swelling in minutes. Applied as a poultice to splinters or embedded debris, it encourages the body to expel them. Drunk as a tea, it soothes irritated mucous membranes throughout the digestive and respiratory tract. It is anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and it is almost certainly growing in your garden as you watch this. You have been weeding out your medicine cabinet. We are 5 plants in, and we have not even reached the ones that will genuinely surprise you. If you are getting value from this, here is what we need you to do right now. Hit subscribe and leave us a comment below telling us which of these 5 plants you already have growing near you. We read every single comment on this channel, and your answer helps us know what to cover next. Subscribe, comment, and let's keep going. Plant 6. Lemon balm, Melissa officinalis. Lemon balm has been used for anxiety, sleep disturbance, and nervous exhaustion since at least the Middle Ages. The German Commission E, one of the most rigorous botanical medicine regulatory bodies in the world, has approved it for exactly these uses. Your grandmother likely kept it in a pot on the kitchen windowsill and made tea from the fresh leaves for anyone in the household who could not sleep or who was carrying worry in their body. The rosmarinic acid in lemon balm inhibits an enzyme that breaks down GABA, the brain's primary calming neurotransmitter, which is the same mechanism targeted by pharmaceutical anxiolytics. The plant does it gently, without dependence, without side effects, and without a prescription. It grows in any garden and smells extraordinary. Plant 7. Thyme, Thymus vulgaris. You likely have thyme in your kitchen as a culinary herb. Your grandmother used it as a cough syrup. Thymol, the active compound in thyme, is a proven bronchial antispasmodic and antimicrobial agent. A syrup made by simmering thyme leaves in honey and water is one of the most effective preparations for persistent coughs, bronchitis, and upper respiratory infection available anywhere. Germany's health authorities license thyme preparations as a cough medicine. The rest of the world's medical establishment largely ignores this. Your grandmother did not. She made the syrup in her kitchen, charged nothing for it, and it worked. Plant 8. Comfrey, Symphytum officinale. Comfrey is one of the most powerful tissue healing plants known to ethnobotany and one of the most controversial in modern regulation. It contains allantoin, a compound that actively stimulates cell proliferation and tissue repair. Applied topically as a poultice or infused oil to sprains, fractures, bruising, and torn muscle tissue, the results are documented and dramatic. Broken bones knitted faster with comfort poultice applied externally. Swollen joints reduced. Old injuries that had become chronic found relief. Your grandmother knew it as knit bone or bone set. Internal use has been restricted in several countries due to pyrrolizidine alkaloid content, and we respect that restriction. But topically, comfrey remains one of the most potent healing plants available to a home herbalist. If you have it in your garden, use the outside of your body as your laboratory. Plant 9. Valerian, Valeriana officinalis. Valerian root is the pharmaceutical industry's quiet admission that plant medicine works. Multiple sleep aid products sold commercially are derived from or modeled on the mechanisms of valerian root. The root contains valerianic acid, which modulates GABA receptors and produces sedative effects that rival low-dose benzodiazepines in clinical comparison studies, without the dependency risk and without the morning cognitive impairment. Your grandmother made valerian tea and gave it to the members of her household who could not sleep. She did not know the pharmacology. She knew the results. The results have since been confirmed. The pharmaceutical derivatives are sold at a premium. The root grows in your garden for free. Plant 10. Feverfew, Tanacetum parthenium. Feverfew is the migraine plant. This is not a folk medicine conjecture. Multiple randomized controlled trials have demonstrated that regular feverfew consumption significantly reduces both the frequency and severity of migraine attacks. The mechanism involves parthenolide, which inhibits platelet aggregation and the release of inflammatory compounds that trigger vascular headaches. Your grandmother used it as a fresh leaf preparation, eaten directly or made into a tincture. If you or anyone in your household suffers from migraines and has never tried feverfew as a preventive measure, you are managing a plant-addressable condition with pharmaceutical interventions that carry far more side effects than the plant they were designed to replace. Plant 11. St. John's wort, Hypericum perforatum. St. John's wort has the most extensive clinical evidence base of any botanical in this list for the treatment of mild to moderate depression. The Cochrane Review, the gold standard of medical evidence review, has confirmed it is more effective than placebo and equally effective as standard antidepressants for mild to moderate cases, with a significantly more favorable side effect profile. Your grandmother did not call it an antidepressant. She called it sunshine herb, and she gave it to people who had lost their brightness. The yellow flowers, harvested at peak bloom in midsummer, contain hypericin and hyperforin. It grows on roadsides and in poor soils across the northern hemisphere. It has been treating human sadness for longer than sadness has had a diagnostic code. Plant 12. Echinacea, Echinacea purpurea. Native American communities were using echinacea for immune support, wound healing, and infection management for centuries before European settlers arrived on the continent. They taught its use to those settlers, who passed it into folk medicine traditions across North America. By the early 20th century, it was the most widely sold botanical medicine in the United States. Then antibiotics arrived. The pharmaceutical industry did not need echinacea anymore, and neither, they suggested, did you. Research has since confirmed that echinacea stimulates innate immune function, increases white blood cell activity, and reduces the duration and severity of upper respiratory infections. It grows easily, is beautiful in any garden, and your grandmother's grandmother almost certainly had it. We are at the halfway point, and the next 8 plants are the ones that will genuinely change how you think about what is growing around you. Before plant 13, hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and share this video with one person in your life who needs to hear this information. Every share on this channel helps us reach people whose grandmother's knowledge has been quietly erased. share it forward. And keep watching, because plant 14 is the one we promised you at the beginning. Plant 13, goldenrod, Solidago virgoria. Goldenrod is the most unfairly maligned plant in North American gardens. It has been blamed for decades for hay fever allergies that are actually caused by ragweed, which blooms at the same time and is wind-pollinated. Goldenrod is insect-pollinated. Its pollen is too heavy to travel by air. It has never given anyone hay fever. What it has given people is a highly effective urinary tract herb. German herbal medicine uses goldenrod as a first-line botanical treatment for urinary tract infections, kidney inflammation, and bladder irritation. It is also a powerful anti-inflammatory and has been used in European phytotherapy for arthritis and joint pain. Your grandmother probably pulled it from the garden on the advice of someone who blamed it for the wrong allergy. It is time to bring it back. Plant 14, ground ivy, glaucoma heteracea. Here is the one we promised you. Ground ivy is the plant most people in North America and Europe have been removing from their lawns for decades as a persistent and irritating weed. It grows in shade, in poor soil, in the difficult corners where nothing else will establish. It is spread by runners. It is, to most modern gardeners, a nuisance. It is also one of the oldest and most consistently documented respiratory and sinus herbs in European folk medicine. Medieval herbalists called it aleuf. They used it for chronic sinus congestion, ear noise, and respiratory catarrh. More recently, it has been investigated for its content of rosmarinic acid, the same anti-inflammatory compound found in lemon balm, and for significant antioxidant properties. People with chronic sinusitis who have tried every pharmaceutical option should be aware that the plant they have been pulling from their garden has been treating this exact condition in folk traditions for 1,000 years. You have been weeding your sinus medication. Plant 15, boneset, Eupatorium perfoliatum. Boneset was one of the most important fever and flu herbs in pre-pharmaceutical North America. Native American communities introduced it to European settlers, who used it extensively through the 19th century. The common name comes from its use in treating breakbone fever, the term used for the deep aching joint and bone pain that accompanies influenza. A hot infusion of boneset taken at the onset of a high fever produces a powerful diaphoretic response that breaks the fever from within. It also stimulates the immune system with measurable effect. It was so widely used that it appeared in the U.S. Pharmacopoeia from 1820 to 1916. Then it was quietly removed. Not because research proved it ineffective, because research was not considered necessary for plants that could not be patented. Plant 16, woodbedony, Stachys botanica. Woodbedony is the forgotten nervine that once held the place in folk medicine that pharmaceutical anxiolytics hold today. It was used for headaches driven by tension, for digestive complaints rooted in anxiety, for the kind of exhausted nervous system that cannot switch off at night. It was one of the most important herbs in Anglo-Saxon medical tradition. It has been documented as a medicinal plant since at least the 1st century AD. It has essentially disappeared from modern herbal practice in North America despite growing readily in temperate gardens. People who carry stress in their heads and stomachs simultaneously and who have tried every pharmaceutical and supplemental intervention should meet this plant. Plant 17, agrimony, Agramonia eupatoria. Agrimony is the liver and gut herb that medieval apothecaries kept in stock at all times, and that virtually no modern practitioner mentions. It has a long documented history of use for liver complaints, poor digestion, and inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract. Agrimony tea has been used for diarrhea, irritable bowel, and the kind of digestive sluggishness that no pharmaceutical can quite address. It is also a traditional wound herb. The astringent tannins it contains make it effective topically for slow-healing skin conditions. It grows in hedgerows, on roadsides, and in unknown garden edges. It is the kind of plant you have walked past without knowing that every part of it was useful. Plant 18, self-heal, Prunella vulgaris. Self-heal announces its purpose in its name. This small, low-growing plant, another common lawn weed, was used in folk traditions across Europe, Asia, and North America for wound healing, sore throat, and fever. Modern research has isolated rosmarinic acid and ursolic acid in significant quantities, both of which have documented anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. It has been investigated for antiviral properties with promising results. It is completely safe, grows prolifically in disturbed soils worldwide, and has been removed from millions of lawns by people who did not know that the plant reasserting itself in the grass every spring was doing so with the tenacity of something that understood it was needed. Plant 19, Metasweet, Philopendula ulmaria. Metasweet is the original aspirin. This is not a metaphor. Salicylic acid, the compound from which acetylsalicylic acid, commercially sold as aspirin, was synthesized, was first isolated from Metasweet. Your grandmother used Metasweet tea for headaches, joint pain, fever, and gastric discomfort. It works in the same way aspirin works, with one significant advantage. While aspirin can irritate and ulcerate the gastric lining, Metasweet actually soothes it. The plant contains compounds that protect the stomach while delivering the anti-inflammatory and analgesic effect. You are taking a synthetic derivative of this plant, stripped of its stomach protective compounds. When you take an aspirin, your grandmother took the whole plant. She had the better formulation. Plant 20, Cleavers, Galium aperine. Cleavers is the sticky plant that attaches to your clothing in spring and that you have been removing from your garden and your trouser legs with mild irritation for most of your adult life. It is also one of the most important lymphatic herbs in traditional European medicine. The lymphatic system, the body's fluid drainage and immune surveillance network, has almost no pharmaceutical support in conventional medicine. When it becomes sluggish or congested, the results manifest as swollen glands, chronic low-grade infections, skin problems, and systemic puffiness that no conventional test quite identifies as a diagnosable condition. Cleavers has been used for centuries to support lymphatic drainage, reduce glandular swelling, and improve the skin conditions associated with lymphatic congestion. The fresh spring growth, juiced or infused in cold water, is the traditional preparation. Your garden produces it for free every April, and you have been composting it. Ground ivy, cleavers, metasweet. These are not exotic plants from remote jungles. They are in your garden right now. They are on your roadsides. They are pushing through your lawn. And they have been waiting there with documented medicinal uses for hundreds of years while you have been buying supplements and prescriptions that trace their origins back to these exact plants. If this video has changed how you look at what is growing around you, please share it. And subscribe to Seedtime Botanics, because this is what we do every single week. Every plant, every use, every piece of knowledge that time has let slip. 20 plants. 20 forgotten pieces of knowledge that did not require a patent, a prescription, or a pharmaceutical laboratory to produce. They required a garden, a grandmother, a chain of passed-down understanding that we allowed to break when we decided that the only valid knowledge was the kind that came in a box with a dosage warning on the side. Your grandmother was not uninformed. She was not working with insufficient data. She was working with centuries of accumulated observational evidence, passed through generations of women who watched what the plants did and remembered and taught. We are not asking you to throw away your medicine cabinet. We are asking you to add to it, to look at the land around you differently, to understand that the knowledge your family once carried did not disappear because it stopped being true. It disappeared because it stopped being profitable for someone else. At Seedtime Botanics, we bring it back. Every week, one plant at a time. Subscribe if you want to be part of that. Come back every week. Bring someone with you. The knowledge belongs to all of us. Let's reclaim it together. Before you go, we have 3 questions for you in the comments, and we want real answers. First, which of these 20 plants are you already growing, intentionally or by accident, in your garden right now? Second, which plant on this list surprised you the most, and why? Third, Is there a plant your grandmother or great-grandmother used that we did not cover today? Tell us in the comments. The knowledge you carry is as valuable as anything we can research. This channel is built on the understanding that the community holds wisdom that no single creator can access alone. Share it below. And if you found value in this video, share it with someone whose garden is full of plants they have not yet learned to read. We will see you in the next one.